Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So Chelsea beat Napoli last night 3-2 and I'm going to do a video reacting to the win. Then I'm going to talk about the match at the weekend against West Ham. Then I've got a little bit about the Champions League money, the draw and the squad that we've got. Then I'll talk about Reece James, Kendry Paez, and a little bit about the transfer window. If you like this kind of stuff and you get something from it, hit that like button. My aim is to get 25 likes on this video. If you do like this content and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. My target is to get 500 subscribers before the end of the month. Anyway, intro out the way, let's just get into the video. So first of all, let's talk about the Napoli win last night. We needed to win and we did that. So now we're into the last 16 and we don't have to play them playoff matches. First of all, I just want to talk about the tactics. When I seen the lineup, I didn't react to it. I wasn't that impressed with it. I was thinking to myself, why we're playing Reece James at centre-back? And the way the game played out in the first half, it kind of proved that to me. I didn't mourn about it too much at half-time, even though I was thinking to myself, we do need somebody to come into that defence. He didn't actually make a change in the defence at half-time, as in like a substitution, but obviously the tactics was changed a little bit, which changed the game, as well as the substitution that we made at half-time, bringing on Cole Palmer. There's only a certain amount of players in our squad that's got the vision, the execution in a big game to do that kind of stuff. Cole Palmer is one of them. The pass that he made for both goals. And the same with Joao Pedro now. I'm gonna put him in the same breath. The execution with his finishing, both were different types of goals, but the way he's been since the start. He started at Chelsea. He's always been very clinical, and they've all been different types of goals, but he's doing it in big games. That's what I'm really liking about Joao Pedro. It's not like, oh no, we've got a hard team, he's not going to turn up when we've needed him. Club World Cup, for example, against Tottenham, and last night again, them two goals was what helps you win a match or makes you get beat, doesn't it? Them types of goals, if he doesn't score them goals and we end up losing, probably we're looking at the tactics and mourning about the tactics, to be honest. So them finishing the chances just helps everybody confidence-wise. And now we've not got them 2 games is very good for us, because it's just 2 games, people would think, but it's not. It's the breaks that we get. We get a 7-day break now between 2 matches in game week 24, 25 to 26, instead of having a midweek game in the Champions League where we've got to kind of rotate and think about that. We've got longer to be on the training ground, and hopefully Rossini and the players can start to work on a few bits of tactics and things like that, because since he's arrived, the performances haven't been great, but we've been able to get points and wins and things like that. Kept ourselves in the Carabag Cup tie for midweek. So yeah, it'll be good for the players to have a full week to train, and hopefully we start seeing a little bit of progressive football, a little bit more for us to be really confident about, because we have been winning, and I'm keep trying to be positive about that, but some signs of the way we've played, sometimes the way we've given chances away. Sanchez, yet again, I've been critical of Robert Sanchez, but again, very big saves in this match that kept us in the game. Again, the last few weeks he's done that. He's made a few errors in the past few weeks, but he's also made some massive saves that have kept us in games, and last night was no different. He kept the scoreline down. So yeah, Pedro, Palmer, Joao Pedro easily man of the match, and one of them scenarios were half time. Some fans would have been probably looking at Joao Pedro and saying he's not doing enough, he's not doing what he should do, and then second half where he scores them 2 goals and everybody calls him man of the match. That's that's the craze of football as well at times, where we can be really critical of a player, but if you get the goals and assists, we completely forget about it. It's like Cole Palmer last season. Sometimes he had a bit of a dip in form, but when he scored that goal or assist, we was all praising him. So anyway, moving on, let's talk about West Ham versus Chelsea. So now let's talk about the West Ham fixture at the weekend. I've gone with Sanchez, Gusto, Chalobah, Badiashile, Cucurella, Caicedo, Andres Santos, Fernandez, Neto, Delap and Garnacho. I've gone with Gusto at right back instead of Reece James. Gusto came off early in the Napoli game, so I think he'll start at right back. We've got Arsenal in the Carabao Cup at midweek, and I think Rossini will see that as rest James for that big match. Then I've gone with Chalobah and Badiashile. Chalobah didn't start, Badiashile didn't start. They both came off the bench. So I think Fofana will probably get a rest mid in the Premier League and then be back for the Carabao Cup as well. I think Cucurella will keep his place, but I have been a little bit worried with Cucurella since Rossini has been here. The fullbacks are getting asked to do a little bit more, and I feel like I am getting a little bit. I'm not going to say it's massive red flags, but the last few games his form has dipped a little bit in my opinion. He's getting caught a little bit out of position, so I think he'll keep his place. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hato plays this one and then Cucurella's back for the Arsenal game. I've gone with the same midfield three. I think it gives us confidence. I think Caicedo and Andres Santos definitely start. And then I think Fernandez will play a bit further forward. And I think Palmer maybe gets half time, 30 minutes. Again, it could potentially start this one, Cole Palmer, but I think with Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, maybe he wants to rest him for that one because that's a knockout tie. I'm not too sure on that one. Does he favour the West Ham match or does he favour the Carabao Cup match? I think they both, to some, Premier League means more. To some, we can still beat West Ham at home and then we can give Palmer 60 minutes against Arsenal. I'm not too sure. So get in the comment section, let me know what you do with your lineup. And then I've gone with Neto, Delap and Garnacho. So it's a bit of a completely different front line than we started with, but Joao Pedro started a lot the last few games. He's in really good form, but I think this feels like a good match to rest him in just before the Arsenal game. Then we've got Garnacho and wing. Estavo started again, came off, and I think Garnacho will get a few minutes. It's him or Gittins, I think, will play on the left. And then I think, because Neto came off early, I think he'll start. But maybe he brings Palmer into the side. But yeah, get in the comment section, let me know what your 11 would be for this match. Next, we've got the Champions League money. So Chelsea have earned 42.4 million in prize money so far in the Champions League. We've got 16.2 million for participation. Every win that you get 1.8 million. So 5 wins is 9 million. We've got nearly 600,000 for the draw that we got in the league stages. Then you get an extra 9.4 million if you get to the last 16. So we've got that because we got into the top 8, and then we got 7.4 million for getting 6th place. So from 36th place gets 238,000, and 35th place gets an extra 238,000 on top of the 238,000. So it keeps going up and up and up, doubling. Adding that on. So we got 7.4 million, so that adds up to 42.4 million. That's not Club Gold Cup money, but it's good money. We're at the end of the season, if we go and buy somebody, probably someone will point at that and say we got Champions League money of X amount. So that's where the money's came from to buy whoever we buy. Who knows who we're going to buy. So next we've got the Champions League draw. So the draw is tomorrow at 11 o'clock UK time. So that's Friday. If you're watching this on Friday, if you're watching it on Saturday, then it's already taken place, and ignore this part, you can move on. But Chelsea will face either PSG, Newcastle, Monaco or Qarabag. these four teams will play each other in the playoff matches. Two of them obviously play to each other, and then two of them sides will play Barcelona, and two of the sides will play us in the round of 16. So it'll probably be PSG or Monaco, or PSG and Qarabag, or Newcastle and Monaco, or Newcastle or Qarabag, just because where they finished. But most likely, PSG or Newcastle in the round of 16 is what we'll probably get. And the way it's set up, fixtures wise, if we get Newcastle, we'll play them 3 times in a row if they get through. And they're on our side of the round of 16. If they beat one of Monaco or Qarabag and they're set to play us, then they play the Champions League, then they play us in the Premier League, then they play the Champions League. So it'll be interesting. But I expect we'll get PSG. If they play Monaco or Qarabag, we expect them to go through, and I expect us to get PSG. I can already see the headlines: Club World Cup, reunion, blah, blah, blah. And we all say, yeah, it's a different side to 6 months ago. We got a different manager. But yeah, I expect us to get PSG in the next round. But let's move on. So first of all, I just want to talk about the Champions League squad. Now we're in the round of 16 and we're in the transfer window. We can make some changes. Facundo Bernardo is now left and gone to Leeds on loan. So that opens up a non-homegrown slot in our squad. We can only pick a 24-man squad instead of a 25-man squad because we haven't got 4 club-trained players. As you can see at the top, we've got Reece James, Chalobah and Cook and Levy Colwell that are club-trained and in the A list. Levy Colwell's injured, but we might as well select him because if we don't select him, we're not going to be able to add anybody else into that section. And then we've got 6 players that are FA trained and in the A list. So that's Sanchez, Tossing, Cole Palmer, Garnacho, Liam Delap and Joao Pedro. They've all been here in England since the age of 18 and done 3 years in England successively, so they're all allowed to be FA trained. But because they're technically FA trained, they eat into the non-homegrown statuses, so you're allowed 17 maximum non-homegrown players, but because we picked 6 FA trained players instead of 4, it eats into that number. So maximum we could have non-homegrown players with the first 9 players is 15 non-homegrown players. And as you can see, we've got Jorgensen, Gusto, Badiashile, Fofana, Cucurella, Hato, Caicedo, Fernandez, Andre Santos, Gustavo, Gittins, Neto, and Mark Gu as non-homegrown players. And then we've got Romeo Lavia, that's an FA trained player, but he's in the B list because he's been here over 2 years. So that means he's not in the A list, but he's still in the Champions League squad. It just means he's in a different section because they want to try and make players that are younger and been there for a couple of years be able to get into the Champions League squad. So next season, he'll be technically an FA trained player. So it'll be another player that's probably eating up into the non-homegrown statuses. So we'll probably only be able to have 14 non-homegrown players moving forward next season if it's the same type of squad. But yeah, Facundo Bernardo leaving means we've opened up a slot. I've not added all these players. We've got a lot of players on the B list, but I've added Max Merrick, Acheampong, Walsh, George, Antwi, Miri Campbell, Raksaki, Amper, Muka. They're all on the B list with Romeo Lavia, but there's a few players that potentially could take his non-homegrown status of Bernardo. There's Anselmino that's been recalled off loan. He could easily take the slot, but we will see. And then there's Dario Asugio. He was in the Champions League squad, got injured for a couple of months, and they took him out and put Bernardo in there for a couple of months. So it'll be interesting to see who we actually pick in the squad. If we sign someone, then it means one of these players isn't getting picked in the squad. If Aaron Anselmino goes out on loan and goes to Strasbourg, then Sarr comes back. He'll be non-homegrown as well, so he will also not be able to. He'll also have to be picked as a non-homegrown player. So there's other players like Dacho Fofana, who's been recalled, Dujon Richards, David Washington, Selena, all non-homegrown, but a lot of them likely won't play, so you don't want to use one of your non-homegrown slots on a player that's not going to take part in your squad. So it'll probably Ansamino, Asujio, Sarr, or anybody that we sign, but I just wanted to quickly flag it. That's the status of the Champions League squad as we know it. Now we've got a little bit on Reece James. He got his 50th cap. Well, he captained the Chelsea side for the 50th time away against Napoli last night, which was a great milestone. He's obviously came off the bench and got the armband and wore it with half an hour, 20 minutes to go, blah, blah, blah. But this is his 50th time right from the start to be wearing the captain's armband, and it's the 24th player in the history of Chelsea to do that. And in over 125 years, there isn't many players that have done that. You're probably thinking it's only 50. But when it's only 24 players that have actually done that, it's a great milestone to do. And just before I do move on, I'll quickly flag Enzo Fernandez is on 44, I think, at the moment. So he's close as well to doing this. But I just wanted to quickly flag it. And now we've got Kendry Paez has gone to River Plate on loan for the rest of the season. And when he says season-long loan agreed, I'm guessing that means for River Plate, who've just started the season. They're in I think they've played 2 league games so far, well, in time of recording, so they're well into the season, but the season doesn't finish till November. I think they might have some matches just after that, so it probably will last until December, then he'll be back for January potentially, or they maybe have a release clause to break it in the summer, but he'll be halfway through a season at River Plate, so I'm not too sure if they will do that because, as I said, we've just let Buonate go to Leeds on loan. So if we had a slot for a camp and they haven't thought of the idea of putting Paez as a backup for Palmer when he's a bit shaky with injuries at the moment, fitness-wise, so if he's going out on loan, I can't see them recalling him in the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if come January his place at Chelsea is very hard to come by. Estavo getting his name into the side regularly. We'll have Sat PF by that point and had 6 months here, or maybe he's out on loan. We'll have Quenda from Sporting that's probably pushing for a right midfield position, but he can play in across the midfield attacking position. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Paez. My personal opinion on the loan, I'm not too sure on it. He's had a last 14, 15 months of not playing much. He had a few incidents at his last club, Independiente, and he lost his place around October. Then he got back into starting a few games, but his last real run in the side was November 2024. Then he came to Chelsea in January 2025, 12 months ago, but wasn't obviously allowed to play until he officially turned 18. Trained around Cobham, I believe, for a good few months, then went to Strasbourg and trained around them for a couple of weeks before the season ended in Strasbourg. Then he was potentially going to go to the Club World Cup, we always got told, and then he didn't get selected in the squad. Then there was a bit of a change of heart, or you're travelling but you're not actually in the squad, which didn't make sense when we picked a really big squad for them to take him and then say you're not in the squad when he could train and be around, be on the bench. We used the bench. He could have came on for 5-10 minutes, and I don't know what the thinking was with not taking him. I mean, taking him but not selecting him and then keeping him around right up to the final. They said that they didn't send him out on loan because they wanted to get him at Strasbourg so he could have a proper pre-season. He returned from America, had a break, and then went to Strasbourg, and he was playing catch-up, so it didn't work out that way. And then he didn't get his place in the side. I think he started 7 games over the season for Strasbourg this season when they're in Europe. And he's played under 800 minutes for Strasbourg, which is less than 8 games, full games, over half a season. So that's a 14 months where he's not really playing regularly, and even with Ecuador, he's not starting all the time for Ecuador no more. So it's a shame what's happened to him. Hopefully, this loan deal can help him kick on, and hopefully he can find his form again. I'm not super convinced that he's not in Europe. I feel like once we signed him, we needed him to get adjusted in Europe, and the Strasbourg move for me should have been the perfect one for him, or we should be having him around the squad, or we should be loaning him to England for me and letting him adjust, even if it's the Championship and we feel like it's a bit low for him. At least he's getting minutes, at least he's getting a chance to get into a side and kick on, and we can keep an eye on him. He can get adjusted to England, he can, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too sure. We will see how it goes. River Plate's a really good side, the top of the league. They've won the first 2 games, so hopefully he can get himself into the side. If he has a season of not playing, and we recall him in the summer because he's not playing at River Plate, then it's a massive worry for a player that we had massive high hopes on. And then last of all, I just wanted to talk about the transfer window as in general. We've got Anselmino back. At the time of recording, I still expect him to go to Strasbourg and start to return here. As in, we recall Sarr and he becomes a centre-back here. It'll be interesting to see what we do with the Champions League squad and who we select. If we sign somebody, I wouldn't be surprised if we sign somebody. I have heard a little bit of a rumour that we're still in the market. It's somebody in Europe, Spain, Italy, France, somebody we're looking at. I don't know what position. Obviously, we're looking for a centre-back, but I don't know what other position it is. I don't know if it's a midfielder, an attacking player to play just if Palmer isn't fitting. That's why we're not getting Paez, because we want this other player that we're bringing in to get the minutes ahead of him. But it's interesting that Strasbourg have bought a winger under our ownership, and he's been given the confidence to get a chance at Strasbourg, and we've removed Paez and sent him out on loan somewhere else. It doesn't hold good confidence about Paez and his future here, because I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting linked to the player that they signed this summer. This winter, in the next few years, as well as Enzo that's gone from Brighton to them. So it's interesting. So there we have it for my transfer type of roundup, let's talk Chelsea kind of video. Hope you enjoyed it. Get in the comment section, let me know if I've said anything wrong. I'm sorry if I've just rambled on. Hopefully it's been enjoyable to watch. If it has, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to try and do more content like this, just talk about Chelsea, relax, give my thoughts, give a little bit of insight if I know anything, give a little bit of information of what I've seen, what I know. I don't know much about transfers as much as I used to. If you know me for years ago, I've done them tools many years ago, but I'm trying to do a little bit here and there just to find out a little bit of news for you guys. But yeah, there we have it. I'll be back probably Monday for a deadline stream type of video, talking about transfers, who we could potentially buy, sell. You never know with Chelsea. We could buy somebody, link to somebody, potentially sell. I reckon there's a few players that are going to get loaned, sold before the window closes. Tyreek George, a few players. So yeah, I'll be back for a deadline stream on Monday and talking about the West Ham result. Looking forward to the Arsenal game. So hit that subscribe button so you can join me. I'll probably do a live stream for that video on Monday, so I'll let you know when that video is going live, and you can come and join me, ask questions, and we can discuss things together. But yeah, signing off, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.